Hello YouTube and welcome back to The Zone, where today guys we're going to do another Christian article today guys, and this one is the Ivy saga. So again, kind of like similar with Julie, actually I should point out because I skimmed through to the very bottom of the article and there is some NSFW artwork that I'm going to have to censor. In fact, it'd probably be better if I just don't go over the art gallery at all, because it's quite disturbing what people have done, and I would not encourage any of you to look for it. So, just to let you guys know about that, so just at the top of the art gallery is when we'll stop. So, let's get started. She's gotta be true, she's gotta be pretty, and she's gotta be the sweetest thing in my life, and her name is Ivy. Chris singing Bonnie Tyler karaoke. So it wasn't entirely inaccurate. Ivy O'Neill was a troll who became Chris's one and only sweetheart from March to May 2009, for the only and all of 2 months. The slew of work that escalated from her simple request to gain a video shout-out remains one of the craziest sagas in the chronology. Ivy's saga is seen as one of the most important to Christorians, as it provided insight into Chris's thought processes, the saga being a scenario where Chris genuinely believed that his love quest was ending. And you can see right here, the troll was supposed to be 27 years old, 10 years older than Chris, apparently. So, no, 10 years younger, I should say, so, take that what you will. Okay, prologue. Something about Ivy brought out the crazy in Chris at levels rarely seen before or ever since. The Ivy saga resulted in 3 Solitude specials, 4 music videos, a bunch of weird and creepy non-music videos, including the notorious Fanta video, a long-awaited tour of his house, that one's just as cringy as the Fanta one, and a new Christian and the Hedgehog Boys album. The discovery of the lost video, the emergence of Joshua Martinez and Rocky Shoemaker as troll obstacles, images of Chris wearing the new medallion of fail and butt garments, and unexpected changes in Chris's behaviour. Ivy was a redhead. Chris therefore lowered his standards slightly by allowing her to become a sweetheart, since women with red hair have been excluded, along with blacks and non-boyfriend-free girls. Yeah. Although I don't understand what Chris has got a thing against gingers for, so that will remain a mystery. And oh boy, is this going to be the video, or is this just going to be a message for Ivy? Yeah. You know what? Screw it. We're just going to take a look at the video. You know what? I'm just going to play this, but you know what? Because I know what this looks like, I'm literally just going to let you guys watch it. I am not at all...
Hey Ivy, I'm doing this video for you. Oh, we are going to have so much fun together when you and I are together. You know, my mommy and I, my family and I will come and meet you at the airport. And you know, your choice, so take you to your hotel or bring you back to my house. I mean, you know, we'd be hanging around so much and sharing so many fondful memories. And, you know, I know a few good places in Charlottesville, you know. I'll take you there. We'll get some good things to eat, and we'll hang out. We'll have so much fun. Well, let's have a good time together.
I don't know whether it's just because Chris is very, very happy, or whether or not... This just seems like if you wanted to entertain a small child, although, actually, let's not think about that. If this was meant to be Chris's daughter, I'd imagine this is how he would try to entertain, by just making gurgling noises at her. It all comes across as very, very, not very, very, just iffy. Because let's just think about this for 1 second. If this is meant to be 2009 and Ivy was born in 92, she would have been 17. So she would have been underage by the standards of Chris's attraction sign, because they have to be 18 to 24. Meanwhile, also, Actually, I had nothing else to add about that, because when you consider that Chris is what, 25 at this point? No, 25. Oh shit, let's just... Okay, so Ivy was 17 and Chris would have been around about 28 at 27 at this point. So just take that into consideration, that Chris was 27 trying to hit on a 17-year-old girl. Fortunately, the 17-year-old did not exist, but you get the idea. So let's...
You know, I know a place that serves some great smoothies. Yeah, it's a cafe in Charlottesville. Good place. Serves good smoothies. And you know, we can enjoy a movie in the theater or at home, or watch a television rerun. Family Guy. Family Guy. Or I Love Lucy. Or I got the entire series of Gilligan's Island. And we can make some music together on Guitar Hero. You can sing. I got a microphone. I'm thinking about getting drums. Yeah. And you know, I look forward to the eventuality of you and me having our sex time together. I'll do my best to pleasure you and keep you satisfied. Miss Fizz Ivy, just for you. Just for you. I know a number of good positions and massages. And you know, I know a number of places we could walk around at. You know, we can walk about the malls. We could walk about the UVA grounds. Good places where there's plenty of green and sunlight.
Yeah, sunlight. Chris, you might have considered probably wanting to open a window for recording this. I know I've discussed this before, but just look at all this. Also, I hope to the love of God Chris showered before and possibly after he decided to put on that suit. I hope. It's literally just just a jacket and trousers just over his shirt.
Right. And we can walk the hermit crabs together. Talking about some like how you might walk your hermit crabs. And you know, wonderful memories. So wonderful memories. We're gonna have lots of fun. I'll do my best to keep you entertained, show you a good time. When we're having a good time. And I promise I'll remain your good boy forever and for always. And my friends I've been talking to between on the internet and real life, my real friends, they can vouch for me on how good of a boy I have been.
Right.
Being the good boy just for you, Ivy. I love you so much. I love you so much. Look at me smile. It's a nice smile. 'Cause I love you, Ivy. I love you so much.
How long did... I was literally just about to say, how long does this go on for? Because there's still like nearly 2 whole minutes of this. And again, listen, from Chris's perspective, he was just trying to be sweet and nice. From anyone else watching this, because Chris obviously must have realized that other people could have seen this, not just Ivy. That is, because again, Ivy does not exist, but again, Ivy could have chosen not to have watched this either. It's just... It's really, really sad, because I actually would believe Chris was trying to be, you know, sincere and sweet and all this. But it's just, this approach just... It's gonna turn women away because it's a childish portmanteau that he's trying to put on. And again, that I don't think that's Chris's fault. It's because of his autism. But even I wouldn't do something like that. I'm just gonna level you guys right now. This is not something I would have done.
I ran out of details. I don't know. I guess I'll sing a song. It's a jolly holiday with Ivy. Ivy makes my heart so light. When the skies are gray and ordinary, Ivy makes the sun shine bright. Oh, happiness is blooming all around her. The daffodils are smiling at the dove. When Ivy holds my hand, I feel so grand. My heart starts beating like a big brass band. It's a jolly holiday with Ivy. The wonder that it's Ivy that I love.
Kill me, guys, please. Just make it stop.
You know something else? I should have thought of doing this before. You know, could put a more positive highlight for anybody who does background information. I should recreate something for MySpace or Facebook with all the positive highlights and all the true details that would not be somehow twisted in any erroneous way. I'll work on that. I will work on that. Because it's the honest truth from my head. From my head. I love you so much, Ivy. I love you. I love you. Talk to you later, sweetheart.
Okay, whatever. That's... And ironically, that was not the call I was thinking of. It was this one I was thinking of. Well, I play fitting music, but you know what? Let's just do the fitting music one, because this one's slightly funnier, but it's a little bit more akin to what people actually think of this.
Hi, Ivy. I love you. I can't stop thinking about you. Anyway, for qualifications, I could say good morning. Wish you a happy day. Or I should go off to sleep. I could say good night.
Good night.
In your dreams. I love you. Ivy, Ivy, love you, Ivy, Ivy, Ivy. At least you're not the poisonous kind. Seriously, no, I love you, Ivy. I believe you all around. Keep a happy thought.
First off, guys, I would like to point out right now that I've never seen Psycho before, but you know what? If I did, I would not be convinced. I would actually be a little bit more convinced that Chris would have actually made a perfect Norman Bates. I genuinely feel as if like it is uncanny how well Psycho and Chris mesh together, as they say. Because when they look at her, they'll say he was lying, that he would never harm a fly. Anyway, March, the story of the Ivy saga came when she wanted to surprise a friend by getting Chris to give a video shoutout, posing as a member of Chris's fan base. After a 30-minute grilling by Bob, she was able to speak to Chris. He was quiet and seemingly uninterested, but he agreed to the shoutout. In the captain's log of the 18th of March 2009, Chris sent his greetings to Amy V and her friend Rachel. This was right at the height of the Emily fiasco, between the day Chris stirred her up and the day the man in the pickle suit stole her away. We might possibly do that. It depends if that comes up later on. So Ivy and Rachel were assumed by many observers to be code names for Emily and her friend Stephanie. Yeah. Ivy was dissatisfied with the quality of the shoutout and immediately called back to complain. Disappointed with Emily's no-show, Chris was now much more animated with Ivy and told her, "If things don't work out with Emily, I will consider you my new sweetheart." What a great honor. Did like Chris just go straight from one to the other, as if he didn't... Okay. The very next day, the 19th of March, after the Emily date and Claire Cash's hooker incident, Chris called Ivy. They discussed video games, art, and handwriting. She sent him a self-portrait along with a drawing of her personal Sonic character, Layla, and Chris shared with Ivy sexual fantasies involving Layla and Reginald. Again, what a great honor to be considered a bachelorette with Chris. He told Ivy, "I love you." What follows was massive levels of creepiness not even the most hardened of trolls were ready for. "I'll be in your dreams." I was about to say, like, the very next day they did this. Like, Chris just picks up one and goes straight to the other, no matter what. Ivy was in the driver's seat now, and proved to be a muse like no other. Chris responded with some of his most complex work to date. Sonichu Special No. 1 and its accompanying music video, CWC Holding Out for a Hero. From this point onwards, Chris was utterly smitten with Ivy, and genuinely thought that this would be his lucky break and a chance to end his tenure as a virgin with rage, if Sonichu Specials 2 and 3 are to be believed. For the rest of March, Chris was a prolific video blogger. He doubled down on his creepy video messages and make a positive difference in the life of Ivy's insecure cousin Flora. He managed this even while pressured on another front by his arch nemesis. Indeed, most of Chris's videos against Clyde during these months were in fact prompted by Ivy. Things were moving quickly, but of course a classy college girl like Ivy wasn't going to arrange a sleepover at the Chandler's site unseen. Her next request, a tour of the property, ignited a slow-forming but ultimately epic meltdown. His parents proceeded to get pissed at him for filming their house and putting it on the internet without their consent. Absolutely, I would imagine my parents would get pretty pissed at me if I did the same thing. Fearing that the local health department could see it and condemn their house. Well, why don't you just clean the house? You know what, there's no point trying to talk sense into these sort of people. There's no point trying to voice any sort of opinion, because if they weren't going to listen to people before, what difference am I going to make? Absolutely. Chris also shared details about Ivy and his incontinence issues. Of course he did. And Bob's constant effort to persuade him to wear protective linens, or as he called them, butt garments. Why? Why would you... April. Main article, Vanessa Saga. As April dawned, Rocky Shoemaker very nearly pulled the Chandlers kicking and screaming out of their vortex of stupidity. Thank you so much, Rocky, but luckily for Ivy, she had already passed all of the Chandlers' tests for truth and honesty, and so was spared most of the brief fallout. Rocky put a temporary hold to Chris's video production, but Ivy convinced him that everything would be fine as long as he deleted the videos from YouTube as soon as she saved them. Yet, even as one crisis passed, another emerged with a mutual friend introduced to Chris to Vanessa Hudgens. Juggling two needy imaginary girlfriends would once again prove challenging for one merely mortal autistic man. And this one is blank, but you know what? Just to be on the safe side, let's see. Display, nope, that's that gone. Let's just check this one out. I'm not gonna risk showing you guys. Oh, what the fuck. Let me just explain to you exactly what this image is. It's a still image of one of Chris's videos, pretty much wearing his butt garments. They look like nappies than butt garments, holding his PS3 controller in one hand and trying to eat his Sonichu medallion in the other. He looks like he's never washed, and this video grain looks like the Blair Witch Project had better video production than this. Also, I can actually hear the sound coming through this picture, because looking at it, it's a very noisy sort of image. Jesus Christ, just did this room not have a single window at all? Because if there was a window at all in this place, I would have just leapt straight out of it. I would have gone out of that place. So thank goodness that was a little bit of a prolific warning right there. I'm sorry about that, guys, but just I did not want to show you guys that. Main article, April 16th, fetish vids. Of course there would be an article on that. With inspiration from Ivy, Chris got a new CWCville.com up and made progress on Sonichu No. 9. He then created the world's very first YouTube videos intended for pet crap. What? this might not be safe either, so you know what? Let me just... I'm going to check out what Pet Crabs is. I don't want to... What the fuck is this? Crass and Shamble, Ivy's pet hermit crabs, named in honor of CWC trolls Crass Crab, disgruntled former PVCC admin, General Commandant, whatever. Ivy being Chris's sweetheart de jour, he was fixated on any detail. Okay, whatever. He fantasized in them as crabs. Okay, whatever. That's just... You know, the more I'm looking into this, the more I'm beginning to think for myself is... Exactly... It probably says something about how desperately they wanted the attention of these trolls. If they're just gonna... They would put up with whatever shenanigans Chris would put up in front of them. He then... Whatever. The Hedgehog boys got back together and hit the road again. And then shit got real. Mid-month, Ivy found out about Chris's two-timing ways. The punishment was revolting, to say the least. After his humiliating penance, Chris was given a second chance. Main article, Sonichu Special number 2. To plan a kick-ass wedding, the result was another Sonichu Special, complete with an accompanying video. CWC, it's all coming back to me now. And you can't have a wedding without a honeymoon. Ivy specifically asked Chris to draw his duck life-sized, so that he couldn't hide the bend. Needless to say, the leaking of the infamous giant penis comic meant that April ended on a decidedly low note. Chris had to make an explanation video to ease the mind of a traumatized Ching Chong, and had to confess to all of his crimes. Of course, the dastardly trolls pounced on every word. Ivy is real. We are going to be together forever. I can feel the cosmos. That is just... Chris helped Ivy put the Vanessa mistake behind them by discussing their future together. Chris assumed that after they got married, she would use her PhD to get a full-time job, but would also do all the cooking when she got home. Great. He would, of course, sit around and draw his comics. He also assumed that Ivy would have no problem if he visited strip clubs, but got very uncomfortable when she asked about her own sexual needs. When the conversation turned to oral sex, he explained his theory about recycling and indulged her with a notorious demonstrative video. Chris also ingratiated himself with Ivy's father, speaking with him on the phone twice. He impressed the Coach McGurrick lookalike with his stories of being in the Cub Scouts and drawing a comic book for children. Again, I strongly suspect at this point it's just to get about as much dirt on Chris as possible, or to see how Chris would go, because we've gone from Chris being very creepy and mistaking sweet for creepy, wearing nappies on camera, and talking about recycling semen and his beautifully non-sexist views towards married life. Throughout the Chandler's trials and tribulations, Ivy remained true and honest. A Chandler family vacation up to Boston to visit Ivy was in the works, but in a fit of righteousness, Rocky brought the Chandlers to the police to sort out the trolls once and for all. The Chandlers were interested in investigating only Joshua Martinez, but Rocky overrode their protests and insisted on checking into Ivy's background as well. Ivy was furious, and after accusing Chris of betraying her, broke up with him. Chris persisted in calling Ivy for 2 days after she broke off their relationship. She and Officer Kano called Bob to have him to tell Chris to back off. In Ivy's words, Chris still had no concept of the word no. On the night of the 14th of May, the following was written on Chris's ED talk page. Chris, I have learned that there was a connection between her and a state in Washington where some of you have been lurking, and that she has not found in any public records. It took me a week to recover from the crestfallen emotions, but I am moving on with my life. Well, we'll see about that. Epilogue. In July 2009, Chris was fed the rumor that Ivy had committed suicide by hanging herself from being restricted from communication, as well as a coming to visit me. He tastelessly uploaded CWC Boyfriend as a belated memorial. In November 2009, he described Ivy's death in a giant wall of text in the comic. During the PVCC's assault on Quickville, she was apparently trapped in a collapsing elevator, got the cables tangled around her neck, and was strangled to death. Despite Billy May's best efforts to save her, the page laying all of this out carries a brief dedication in memorial of Sonichu Girl, Ivy O'Neill. On the 19th of April 2010, Chris updated the Wikipedia with a page containing various profiles of his gal pals and past sweethearts. Among them was a brief and somewhat ambivalent mention of Ivy. Another online romance, but better with telephone conversations. Ivy and I were entwined within our relationship for about 3 months. It was good. Then, later on, when I was talking to a detective on the case of finding my trolls and seeing justice done onto them, he looked into Ivy and her family, found nothing on them. Even her father was a police officer. Then, in a mental quandary and confusion, I stopped talking to Ivy for a few months. She called me one last time after the time. I still felt confused. Then I hear from Vivian that Ivy committed suicide by hanging, and depicted this in a comic. In a May 2011 email, Chris mentioned her dismissively saying that elevator gag was only for comic story. She in reality committed suicide over me. Sure she did, Chris. Sure she did. In June 2014, Chris said that except for Casey, all of his former sweethearts were deceptive theoretical exes. This suggests that Chris knew by this point that none of his girlfriends, including Ivy, had been real. And just before we get into the gallery, I have to turn off the display capture again, because the actual... Okay, I'll go through some of this. The first one is actually not bad. It was drawn... She also has her OC beside her, which is about half Ivy's height. The next one we have Ivy in what I assume is to be like a leopard printed bra. Then was a drawing of Rosachu. Then one of Bubbles. Then one of Lucetta, aka Layla Flaffy. And then there's one of where she drew herself sort of like as Sally Acorn or Star from Star Versus or something like that. That was apparently art by Ivy, or the troll in question. This was the stuff that Chris had come up with. Ivy in a wedding dress, Ivy with an enormous hand and a very short dress. One where it looks like Chris and Ivy are trying to eat each other with the same firework display that was used in Sonichu number 0. Rape is imminent. On a more serious note, Chris fails at panty shots. Apparently this is just Chris trying to hug Ivy from behind. Then there's one apparently where Ivy was captured by Clyde Cash. Then there's one about Chris in solitary form running away with Ivy. And then the infamous Rule 34 one where Chris draws his penis that looks more like a steel pipe, and Ivy with her legs just... Again, you have to bear in mind that apparently Ivy, if she was real, would have been 17 at this time. Thank goodness he did not do this when it came to... Well, actually, this, you could argue the stuff he did for Julie was far worse. And then there's apparently one of bondage. Okay. Again, and... Jesus, just... Our heroes mourn Ivy's death, or something like that. Let me just take a look at this. I'm pretty sure I can... I can sort of like show this one, because this doesn't show anything, you know, graphic, anything like that. So let's just let's do this. Just an update for you two. We've managed to take out some of the baddies. All of the other electric hedgehogs are aiding the medics with transport of the injured citizens and to be unbrainwashed jerk-ops. Although some of all of them didn't make it out, sadly. The Autobots are cleaning up the PVCC citizen Decepti clone parts to be transported to the army bases for recycling. The CWC Power Rangers took down the supersized Beam Manager and married senior, that's not how you spell senior, comic with surveillance injuries. Then they both shrunk down to their original sizes. Our police and army forces held there a few blah blah blah. We had done one casualty. Ivy was trapped in the elevator. In the tremors made the floor under her break. She got her neck tangled in the cable. Billy Mays tried to rescue her but she got caught, and he tried to climb up to the disentangle to rescue. He could not reach, and the walls were slippery, just terrible. Have a safe trip back. And in memorial of Sonic Go, Ivy O'Neill. That's just not a tribute. And now I have to turn the display capture off again. See, there we go. And that's it. Ivy must have been proud of all of this. Well, actually, no, she wouldn't have. She was not even alive at this point. But she wasn't real, but you get the idea. So that, guys, concludes the Ivy saga, and it's another one of those things where I'm not angry at Chris. Actually, I am angry at Chris. I'm sort of furious, but this is just... It seems like, again, it's not so much Chris is not learning, it's just this is getting more and more ridiculous by just how far he's going now from the second day talking about, you know, sex and all that. It gets even worse, and I didn't even know how it could possibly get worse, when you consider just... He is obsessed with this. He is obsessed with... He's not obsessed over Ivy. He's more obsessed over losing his virginity and, you know, everything going right for him and him having to do no effort. That's what he's obsessed with. Just... I think I need to have a shower or go for a walk or something like that after that. And I've already showered once today, like 3 or so hours ago. I don't. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed the Ivy saga as courtesy of the Wikipedia. Please make sure to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of the reading yourself. I apologize if I had to censor a lot of things in this. I'm not risking whatsoever. Nobody should be subjected to this sort of stuff. And I hope to see all of you guys again in the next video.